Welcome along everyone to Curriculum 500, a guide to winning at horse racing as a novice punter by Connor 500. It's basically a run through of my channel. I hope you're all doing fantastically well. If you're a long-term viewer, you've heard it all before. If you're a new viewer, then welcome along, and we're going to go through briefly everything that you're expecting to see on the Connor 500 channel. I realised I did not have an introduction video, so I've sought to remedy that. I'll do a more detailed one in a few months, but for now, this will do. We've got a few chapters to get through. I'm going to go through them. There's going to be a lot of information in the description box. Anything that I don't mention on the video that's important is all going to be in that description box, so it's well worth having a look there. But we're going to speed through it on video. We've got About Me, Who Am I, Chapter 1. Connor Robinson, 30 years old, I hail from Slough, and I've been involved in gambling all of my adult life. I joined Ladbrokes as a till jockey as an 18-year-old. I stayed there for 2.5 years. I learned a lot at first, but I quickly found out it weren't for me. It really weren't for me. I left Ladbrokes at 21 years old to go full-time gambling. Back then it was mostly bonus abusing. As any bonus abuser during the mid-2010s will know, it was a gold mine back then. The mid-2010s were absolute gold mine for bonus abusing. I was doing all the other angles as well, but back then it was free money for that, and Ladbrokes was not for me. I was offered a job in Ladbrokes head office, Rayners Lane at the time, Stratford now, but even that weren't for me either. The head of trading in the Ladbrokes head office was having to work nights at Sainsbury's to be able to afford his mortgage, and it weren't for me. I went full-time gambling at 21 years old. I stayed on my own up until 2018, when I went to work for a couple of firms in the southeast. I enjoyed my time there, I really did, and it was well needed. I'm up front with you. If you've spent years and years on your own doing your own thing, it is nice to get into the social atmosphere of a workplace, especially if it's still in the field you're interested in. The first one was in Ascot, a tiny little bookmaker in Ascot, just for phone and internet, no shops. Very well respected little firm. I loved my time there. It was me that decided which customers to keep and which customers to get rid of. If there was a customer whose bets I didn't like, that customer was gone. If I saw no issue with them, then they would stay. I'll do another video at another time detailing my experience of these places when I've got more time on video, but I've got nothing bad to say. Towards the end of 2018, I went to work for a while for the biggest punting team in the UK. The biggest punting team in the UK, based in Brighton, which opened my eyes a lot to how big logistically this can get. Because up to this point, I knew that people had runners and things like that, but I did not know it could get to this scale. And I loved my time there. I was training up a lot of them in one of the divisions, loved my time there. Should I have stayed a bit longer? In hindsight, yeah. In hindsight, I could have stayed there a lot longer. But I left there at the end of 2018. I went back full-time gambling, and I did that until now. However, at the end of 2020, I'm up front with you, had a lot of personal issues at the end of 2020, which meant that it became a lot more difficult for me to do what I needed to do. I could no longer run around the shops all day, every day around London, getting abused by shop staff. And I could no longer source all of the online accounts that I had been doing. Because as any professional punter knows, it's all about sourcing the accounts. It's not about finding the value, it's about getting the money on. And you've got to convince a lot of people to give you their bank account, their passport, everything like that. And if you're becoming a bit of a hermit, it becomes difficult. So it put me in a position where I could no longer go out to get the money on that I needed to, but I didn't want to just stay at home. And this is where Connor 500 was born. Connor 500 was born out of the fact that I couldn't do what I needed to do, and I didn't want to sit at home. So yeah, and this is why Connor 500 was born. If you don't already know, every single penny of all of the advertising revenue goes to charity. Every advert you see on this channel goes to charity, every single penny. Most of it goes to a children's hospice, but there is a proportion of it that goes to channel competitions. And I appreciate you all so much for that. We've got 10 minutes for me to go through the rest of it. Right, bankroll management. How should you manage your bankroll on the Connor 500 channel? I'm not going to give you some overcomplicated thing about 1 points of 100. I'm not going to do that because it doesn't work out in reality for most people. Not for a casual sports betting channel. It's not like poker in that sense. The only thing I will say to all of you, the only one thing I will say, keep your stakes so low. Keep your stakes so tiny, even paper trade it if you need to for the first 6 months until you know you're going to win long term. Because this is what it's about. It's about making sure you personally know that long term you're going to be a winner. So paper trade it, keep the stakes low for 6 months. I am not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be doing this channel forever. It's always going to be free. So you're in no hurry. You've got no hurry. Don't rush. Keep your stakes low. Keep your BDI out and keep a watchful eye. Right, now, blank slate. So we're on a blank slate now. Forget everything you've ever known about gambling. If you're a losing punter, forget everything you ever did. Forget all your forecast bets. Forget your tennis hackers. Blank slate. And you want to find out what you're going to bet on. You're going to stick real profitable only. Blank slate. You've got nothing in your mind. Now we need to fill this blank slate up. We've got an itinerary now. You're sat there on the evening, 8 o'clock, with your blank slate, and you need to find bets to put into it, okay? First of all, let's go into it. What are you going to add to your slate first? 16 runner handicaps, sheer value. I'm going to talk about this a lot in the description box, but 16 runner handicaps have an inbuilt mathematical advantage, okay? Guys, you're going to have to go to the description box for this because this could take up 10 minutes on its own. 16 runner handicaps have an inbuilt mathematical advantage, okay? An inbuilt mathematical advantage. Not 14 runners, not 12 runners, they don't. 16 plus runners do. And by 16 runners, I mean 17 runners, I mean 18 runners, I mean 16 plus runners. Look in the description box for that. But the first thing we're going to add to our itinerary is 16 runner handicaps. I know that 99% of punters hate them, but they are wrong. And they're wrong. Next one, bad each ways. What is a bad each way? Google it, but a bad each way is a race where the race structure, because of certain horses right at the front of the market being so short, they're forcing out the win prices of some of the other horses, forcing them out. But they're still as short as they ever were to place because you'll get free each way on the place. A bad each way, it's like a skewed race structure. You're going to need to Google that, but that's the next thing that we're going for on our itinerary. So far, we had a blank slate, but now we've added in all of the 16 runners, all of the bad each ways, and we've got our itinerary filling up. Next one, power of multiples, okay? Yeah, okay, the power of multiples. You are compounding the value. If you've got two good value singles, you're compounding the value pound for pound by putting them into a multi. The value's going exponentially. Multiples are by far better than singles. You've got to do them in multiples if you're getting good value. On the flip side, 99% of punters place bad value bets, don't they? 99% of punters place bad value bets. So they're compounding the bad value in the multiples. They're compounding the bad value just like we're compounding the good value. So now what are we going to do with our multiples? We've got our 16 runner handicaps, we've got our bad each ways, and we're going to combine them in multiples. This is one of the core things of the Corner 500 channel. Combine them into multiples, whether that's lucky 15s, you're getting now a lucky 15 bonus on a 16 runner handicaps and bad each ways that will already value, you're getting a bonus now. Or you can do permutation doubles, for example 3 times 3 doubles, which you'll see a lot of on this channel, and you can combine the place perms, because then you can get place doubles. You're doubling up the place side. Guys, I've got to say this. Despite the fact that most of the time it's the place side that's value, we're always playing for the win. We're always playing for the win. The power of multiples. You're combining the good value pound for pound exponentially. And if you do it in a bad one, then you're combining that bad value. So what do we know so far from this video? We know that we want to add 16 runner handicaps and bad each ways into multiples. That's what the Corner 500 channel is. And that's what the bookmakers hate. All those years that everyone thought that professional gamblers were outside a telephone box speaking to a shady guy to get 100 grand on. It don't work like that. All we're doing is combining 16 runner handicaps and bad each ways into multiples. It's simpler. Look in the description box for anything you need. Bog and extra places. Best odds and guaranteed and extra places. We've already got value already. Now let's add in the fact that we're getting best odds guaranteed and extra places. See, the extra places, let's talk about extra places first. 16-runner handicaps are good value even at standard terms. First 4 quarterly odds. Look in the description box, like you'll see the calculation. Now we're getting 5, 6, 7 each way. What value is that? Forget about all those favourites. Forget about those favourites. The value is here. You're getting all the extra places. Best odds guaranteed adds a huge amount. Best odds guaranteed is 5-10% of your ROI straight away. Guys, don't bet race by race. Most punters bet race by race. They'll bet, lose, and they're not going to get any bog back value. 5 at will, sniper in from the morning. If you get all of your bets on now at 10 a.m, look how much bog value you're going to add by the time of the race instead of just doing it race by race. Bog and extra places, they add huge value to what is already value. Restrictions, bookmaker restrictions. We're going to finish off here. Bookmaker restrictions, the bookmakers will close you down. The bookmakers will close you down if you do the Connor 500 channel. If you follow my bets, the bookmakers will get rid of you. They will. Because they don't like losing money. They're accountants. But it shows you that you're in the right. If you didn't already know you was in the right, now you do. The bookmakers will always close you down. And that brings me back to why I've got to do this channel. Because I can't get accounts. I struggle with the shops. It comes full circle, guys. I'm going to leave it at that. We've talked about me. We've talked about bankroll management. We've started our blank slate. And then we've added the blank slate. And we've added the 16 runners and the bad each ways to the blank slate. We've talked about the power of multiples. So we're going to multiply all these bad each ways and 16 runners. We've talked about best odds guaranteed, helping you massively. Same for the extra places. We've talked about restrictions. The bookmakers will get rid of you. My thoughts. What would I want to say? One thing I would want to say, always look out for the low-hanging fruit. In this game, low-hanging fruit. Money back second or third. Get a free bet if you bet this. Combine as much low-hanging fruit into your daily itinerary. In your daily itinerary, you're going to multiply the bad each ways and the 16 runners, but on top of that, pick up all the low-hanging fruit you can. You know those offers was 1 to 4, now 20 to 1, you know, £1 max. Scoop up all these low-hanging fruit everywhere you see them. This is just, and now you see how you're going to start winning at gambling. You see how you're going to start winning. You're combining valuable bets into multiples. You've got your low-hanging fruit. I'm going to leave it at that, guys. Anything I forgot to say is going to be in that description box. Thank you so much for coming along to the Connor 500 curriculum. I know it works because I've done it for almost a decade. It's a pleasure to come on here because I look up, yeah. If there's any questions, stick them in the comments because there's going to be a whole FAQ section there as well. But I just wanted to do an introduction video for anyone new. I hope you all have a lovely time and welcome along to your new profitable journey in gambling.